Hello, Anne. How are you today? Oh, let me see. I'm not hearing you. Give me 1 second. Oh, you're muted.
Now, yes. Had to fix the controls there.
Oh, you're okay. You're okay. Good afternoon, Floyd.
Do you know why I have the 2 question marks after my name?
I'm not really sure. I do see that Floyd has 1.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. Maybe that could be changed in your settings. I'm not sure why that's there.
It's on the actual invitations and everything. So
So we have someone that set these up for us. So I can talk to Kathy Lindmeyer about it and see why that may be there.
It doesn't bother me that much. I just was wondering if there was something that I should do.
Oh, you're okay.
We have 2 new people that I haven't met before. At least I haven't met Marianne.
Yeah, so I think we'll probably wait for everyone to come in and then we'll do a full-on introduction. You've met me before. I've been here for 7 months now. I just bleached my hair and dyed it pink. It was red. So
But we've before.
yeah, we haven't. Yeah. So we're gonna do like a full-on introduction and get everyone used to each other, and we can all get to know each other. So start fresh. Let's wait for 1 more person here so we can get a quorum going.
We're only waiting for 1 more person, or you mean just to make a quorum?
Just to make a quorum.
Okay.
Yeah, at the very least.
Did anybody say they weren't going to be here?
Yeah, I haven't heard from anybody, John, so.
Yeah.
Let's see. I see Carlos raised his hand. I don't know.
Carlos?
Yeah, Carlos isn't here. Let's promote him to a panelist. I apologize, Carlos. This should have been, you should have been put in as a panelist. Alrighty. So it seems like we have a quorum going. Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. I don't know. The planners don't set up the planning commission for the webinar anymore. That's actually done by a different department and sent to us. So I apologize for any issues that we may have today with technological problems. I guess technology 2022.
Hey, Floyd, are you in Shangri-La?
No, I'm out in what we used to call the bakery.
Right.
It's now being converted to a home office / studio, but I got some work to do, so.
All right. Sorry.
Got to move some things around. So anyway, dog's outside on a tether, so she's happy.
There
So
we go.
There's Carlos.
Carlos.
There we go. Now I got it. Good
yeah,
Lord.
hey
This
Sarah,
technology.
I would probably run the meeting if I had the checklist. I know I'm the vice, so if the actual president's not here, I guess I'm supposed to do it, but I don't have the notes he uses to guide through the meeting.
I have some notes here, actually. I can mostly guide us through this.
I'm good with that. I'm just trying to do what I signed up to do. So,
Perfect. Alrighty.
John,
So I would like to call this meeting to order. Today is Monday, the 22nd, 2022. Let's take roll call. So let's see. We have Ann Warmond. Please let me know if I'm pronouncing your names correct or incorrect.
That's correct. Yes.
We have Carlos Perez.
Correct.
John Thompson. Is John Thompson here? Bob Howard. Jerry Fugic. Am I pronouncing that right?
I think it's Fugit.
Fugic. Okay, I don't even know if I can pronounce that. The East Coast in me is pronouncing it wrong. That's what it is. John Graver.
Here.
Perfect. And Floyd Sheldon.
here.
Great. Would we like to do a pledge of allegiance, or would we like to move on?
Nope.
Yep.
I'm ready.
I pledge, me too. Let's do it. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance
to the flag of the United
United
States
States
of America and to the
and to the
republic
republic for which it
for which
stands,
it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty
with liberty and
and
justice
justice
Under
all.
God,
all.
indivisible, with liberty. All right.
Perfect. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the agenda that was attached for December and this month?
Yes.
Yes, yes. Sarah, I have did you have excused absences for the other people? And the reason I'm asking that is because the first email I got said that this meeting was scheduled for the 23rd of, which was tomorrow. And then this morning, I guess, or late last night, I got another email that said it was for today at 4 o'clock. So that may be one of the reasons there's some of the people are not showing up.
Okay, perfect. I apologize for that. Let me send out an email to the other three, or we could reschedule this for tomorrow if you guys would prefer. But
I can't tomorrow.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I am.
okay, perfect. So what we can do is, since it was a misscheduling error on my part, I think, London, would it be okay if we did approved absences for the council members that have not attended today?
Sure, Sarah,
Yes.
we can go ahead and do that.
Perfect. As long as we have a quorum, I think this should go perfectly fine. And I will send out an email ahead of time and let them know, and they can watch or listen to the recording in the minutes. Okay, so
Mhm.
since everyone has had the opportunity to review the agenda, has everyone had the opportunity to read the attached minutes as well?
Yes.
Yes.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as written.
I
I
second.
second it.
Perfect. And can we make a motion to approve the attached agenda as well, please?
I make a motion to approve the attached agenda.
I second.
Perfect. Okay. Has there been any public communications that you guys would like to discuss with us or address?
Public communications are usually done by the staff in the city, and they inform us as to whether they've.
Okay, I'm just making sure. We have it written down here to ask you guys. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that we have on here is our HCP updates, and that would be London. That's our habitat conservation plan that we're currently working on. Primarily, this is London's baby that she's working on, that she is very excited. So I will let her take this away on updates and what she expects to see in the coming future.
Hey everyone, good afternoon. As Sarah said, I'm London Haas, the recently hired planning and building manager. I've been with the city for about 6 months. Yeah, great to be with all of you today. So we are going to talk a little bit about the new habitat conservation plan, just real quick. I just have sort of a 2 or 3 minute update for you. You might be wondering, what is a habitat conservation plan? Basically, it is, actually, I may have a PowerPoint here that I can just share. That might be helpful. So let me see if I can pull that up real quick. I do have one. Okay, I am going to share my screen. Okay. Can everyone see that okay, or are we on the notes? There we go. Okay, so yeah, let's talk about the habitat conservation plan. So what is a habitat conservation plan? Basically, it's a document which helps us to protect vulnerable and endangered species within city limits and helps us to preserve our irreplaceable habitat. And you know that here in Yelm, we have a lot of that. We've got prairie, we've got forests, we've got wetlands. We have these wonderful habitats that it would be so sad if they left. And so that's part of what a habitat conservation plan is, and it's also something that's meant to streamline the environmental review and approvals process for developers, which can be pretty complicated right now. Yeah, we're getting some feedback. So if you got people talking in the background, just put yourself on mute. Okay, so that's what a habitat conservation plan is. It's a document that's designed to protect those animals. Who's it for? It's for Yelm residents who care about their environment. It's for animals who need help. And it's also meant for developers and citizens who have difficulty with the environmental process. We know that the State Environmental Protection Act can be a little burdensome sometime, and the Habitat Conservation Plan is designed to help with that. So the Washington State Department of Fish and Wildlife has given the city a grant of $844,000 to help develop our own HCP, and the city has to provide a few $100,000 to match that. And that money goes towards payment of consultant fees, staff salaries, and time working on the HCP. So what we're envisioning for our habitat conservation plan is we have several species, most notably the Yelm pocket gopher, that need protection. And so the habitat conservation plan will set out the areas that we want to conserve and protect. And it will protect those through different mechanisms that we'll establish. We've hired Confluence Environmental Company to help us develop this plan. They are a very well-regarded environmental consultant group in the Puget Sound, Washington area that has a lot of experience with habitat conservation plans. And they were one of the primary consultants who worked on the Thurston County Habitat Conservation Plan. So they already know the area pretty well, and we feel very confident that they will help us to really protect the things that we really love about our city. So yeah, that's just a very brief overview. Can I answer any questions for anyone about the HCP?
I have a question.
Yeah, Anne, I'll go with you first.
Okay. We know that a number of our developers and builders and just normal people that are trying to build a home run into a lot of difficulty trying to figure out how to navigate the pocket gopher setbacks and things that they need to do. Is this something that's really supposed to help them? And how does
Yeah, it is supposed to do that, and that's a really good question. So basically, what it's going to do is it's going to establish specific habitat in the city that won't ever be developed, and it will always be conserved. And by doing that, then we can mitigate some of the destruction of potential gopher habitat that might happen with that home building and things like that. So it's kind of a trade-off, and what we're doing is we're trading off not protecting these kind of marginal gopher habitats that may have gophers living on them, but aren't really that good of a habitat. And instead of trying to preserve that, we're trying to preserve actual undeveloped land that's left that would be very suitable for gophers and butterflies and birds and all the other animals that we want to protect. So we feel like it's a good trade-off, and one that actually results in a lot better outcomes for the animals. Does that make sense how that works?
Yeah, I'll come back with a second question later.
Okay,
Carlos had.
Sounds good. Carlos.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like a follow-up. Maybe this is kind of what Ann is getting at, but what specifically are you going to be putting in this plan? You know, specific codes as to where they can or cannot build? And I guess I don't understand the particulars of what it is you're going to do, other than what you've already outlined here in a general outline, and what the law of the Environmental Protection Agency already dictates.
Right.
I just don't understand what you're really going to do.
Right. So the plan, Carlos, is to work with property owners. Number one, we would like to purchase land outright for property mitigation. The city can just have in perpetuity, or perhaps we buy the development rights for property, so that whatever is on there now, it can't be developed beyond that, and it would just sort of become gopher habitat in perpetuity in the future. That's one of the big mechanisms that we can use, and then we can just kind of predetermine where we think likely gopher habitat is in the city, and just keep the burdensome environmental studies to those properties. Because what happens right now is, if there's even a sign of gopher habitation, then a potential developer has to really spend a lot of time and money and energy to hire consultants to investigate that land and see if there is gopher habitation on it or not. And so what we're proposing is to not have, in most areas of the city, those burdensome requirements, and then in a certain part of the city have a lot more stringent environmental protection on properties where it really makes sense, where the gopher is going to be most likely to be protected, or other animals are most likely to be protected. Do we have everything nailed down as far as enforcement?
Hey, London?
Yes.
I've had my hand raised and nobody said anything. Hey, who's ever coming up with this great idea? Do they know those gophers are migratory animals? Meaning if they don't like living someplace, they move to another. So hypothetically, if we bought this land, how are we going to keep them there?
Yeah, and Floyd, that's still very much in flux. Like, our environmental consultant will help us to understand the best way to work with the gophers. Maybe it doesn't make sense to have permanent habitat for gophers at all. Maybe that's something that we do for some of the other more vulnerable or endangered species, because there are others. The gopher is certainly a focus because it is an endangered species, but we certainly want to be working with other species as well. So there may be some species where it makes more sense to do that. It may not make sense to do that as much with the gopher. The gopher is more of just an example animal that I'm using, but that's a great point. I apologize, Floyd. The reason I didn't call on you yet was because I wasn't totally done speaking, but thank you for that. Carlos, does that answer your question?
Yeah, more or less. So what you're going to do, you're going to pre-specify specific areas where a more stringent analysis is required. Otherwise, go ahead and build here.
Yeah, that's the plan. The plan right now. You know, our enforcement mechanisms, like I said to Floyd, our enforcement mechanisms could change. You know, this is very much just kind of the broad overview to tell you the exciting adventure that we're embarking on. But that's kind of what's in our mind right now as far as how we will handle this. So, okay, we got Floyd, we got Carlos. John, you had your hand raised. What's your question, John?
Well, the one thing I do like is that you would more designate in the particular areas. I also like the idea that you brought up to buy out building rights. You know, the reason I say that, you know, real estate is, there were a lot of people that were really taken by surprise when Thurston County decided to go, oh, we're going to go residents 1 per 5, and it caught people unawares, you know, and all of a sudden you have all these development properties. People thought they were going to be able to develop, had really thought about retiring on their properties, you know, development property, and all of a sudden they just come out and tell you. And that's exactly what Thurston County did when they did their gopher habitat endangered species areas. You know, all these people that had developed areas there now can't, because all of a sudden they have all this pocket gopher activity, you know, and the county doesn't come along and go, well, we'll buy this area from you. No, they come along and say, you can't use this area, you know, unless you stipulate, you know, somewhere or putting it somewhere else, and you know, buying land somewhere else. But if you're a big developer, that works. But if you're a small-time developer, that does not. I mean, if you're just a landowner, that doesn't work. So I do like the idea of, you know, buying the property, you know, from someone, because then it's a legitimate thing. We're actually truly taking care of an endangered species. We're not saying you're going to take care of that endangered species.
Yeah, I think we want to try to balance the needs of the public with the needs of our habitat, our environment around us. And I think the potential buyouts of property, they really mitigate that. Of course, the $1 million question is how we're going to get the money to pay for it. Potentially some of the grant money could be used for property buyouts, assuming the property owners don't try to gouge us because we're the city. But some of that money will go towards consultant fees, salary for staff that are working on this, and time spent working on this by staff. But we anticipate having at least a little bit left over that we could put towards property. And, you know, maybe the city just sort of like puts aside $100,000 a year for property buyouts, and gradually we just sort of build up a habitat over time that really is a benefit to the city. I think our ultimate dream with this is to create kind of a habitat buffer between us and potentially Rainier. I think what we don't want to see with Yelm is eventually that, you know, Yelm gets super big and super sprawly and Rainier gets sprawly. I mean, this is all 30, 40, 50, maybe 100 years down the road, who knows, but we don't want it to become sort of like one suburban blob. We would like for there to be some space between the two cities to create separation and a feeling of distinctiveness. And this was something that I saw when I worked for Grand Junction, Colorado. Is the county actually had mile-wide agricultural buffers between each city and the county. And that helped not only to preserve a lot of the wonderful agricultural land in Western Colorado in Mesa County, but it also helped to prevent sprawl and things like that. So we feel like we can get a lot of beneficial effects from a small investment in this plan. But yeah, we'll see how it goes, and we're looking forward to hopefully moving forward with it. Anne, did you still want to ask that second question?
Yes, I do want to ask the second question. You had mentioned you know, the city setting aside some funds to be able to potentially do these purchase of building rights and such. Thurston County already does that. They set aside funds for what's called the Thurston County Conservation oh boy, it's a long name. It's the conservation protection work, and there are grants that are presented to that is plots of property that have sponsors are looking for grants to be able to preserve that property over the long term. And some of the properties that have been recent, I know because each of us on the Parks Board have participated with this Thurston County Conservation. Basically it's a ranking that we do on an annual basis to figure out who's going to get the grant funds. There's some places that are down by Grand Mound that were set aside and paid for by this grant fund to handle pocket gophers. And it's a way to provide the mitigation for the rest of the county there. So I'd like to suggest that possibly in this conservation plan that at least there's those parts that say, how do we leverage what the county's doing and how the county is setting up their mitigation plans and latch onto those so that Yelm is able to take advantage of some of the county grants and such. And, you know, our developers can take advantage of having the mitigation plans out there for them.
Yeah, and I think that's a wonderful idea. Thank you for telling us about that. Yeah, I will definitely go talk to my counterpart over at Thurston County and hopefully get the ball rolling on that. And I'll make sure that our consultant incorporates that for sure. So thank you for that. Any other questions before we continue? Seeing none. Okay, perfect. Well, thanks everyone for listening, for asking those really good questions. You keep us accountable and make sure that we're on track, and we really appreciate that. And so we probably won't have another update for you for several months. We'll probably be doing semi-yearly, potentially quarterly updates on this, depending on how fast we go. The HCP is not always a quick process, but it's certainly a worthwhile one. So anyway, yes, thank you again. And I think that concludes my presentation. So Sarah, I'll throw it back to you.
Thanks, Lyndon.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, Lyndon. Okay, so the next part on the agenda, we would like to discuss a few things involving annexations and rezone requests, and like best practices about those. So the reason that this is coming up is because, as some of you may already know, we're looking at potential water rights on March 5th. And with that,
would you be a little louder? I can't really hear you.
Yes.
Okay.
There you go.
I
That's better.
apologize. So as some of you may know, we're actually looking at potential water rights being in hand around March 5th area. So we have been getting a lot of requests about annexations, rezones.
Would you clarify that, Sarah? A lot of us don't know. We've been waiting for several years.
Yeah, perfect. I would love to clarify. I think Cody Colt will be the best one for this, but I can kind of fill in and try to be the person to help out here. So essentially, we had heard from Department of Ecology that we are currently waiting for these water rights. We do not have them in hand. We do not currently have them, but we are expecting these to come in hand around March 5th, as long as everything goes according to plan and there are no appeals. If there are appeals, then this process may take a little bit longer, but as of right now, we are looking around the March 5th area, given a few days here and there. With those water rights potentially coming in, the city has not done an annexation in almost an entire decade. So with that being said, we're trying to reinvent our annexation and rezoning process, because we will get very busy with a lot of these annexations. You will be hearing about it. This will be a lot of our planning commissions coming up in the future, are rezones and annexations. So just to prepare everyone for that. So if anyone has any any recommendations they'd like to state, anything that could help in our process of inventing these forms to make it easier on our community to be able to apply and reach out to our department to apply for these annexations. Anything would be appreciated. It doesn't have to be today. It could even be later. It's just I wanted to update everyone on what to expect in the coming months of what you'll see most of.
Carlos, you used to handle some of that stuff.
Carlos?
Yes, Sarah, I'd like to have a notification of when that does occur around March 6th, either by an email would be just fine. Just let us know, because like Ann, we've been waiting for a while to hear about this, and I'd like to know firsthand, not read it at the Nisqually Valley News.
Yeah, perfect. That won't be a problem. I know we have a meeting that month, but I will definitely send an email to our planning commission to let everyone know that if those are coming in or what's going on, we will know what's happening around the March 5th area. Cody Colt is checking these literally probably hourly. He says daily, but he's been like obsessive about getting these in. So I think everyone has. So I will definitely keep everyone posted. And with that, like I had mentioned, those annexations and rezones are going to come flooding in. It's going to flood in faster than the water can. So expect that in the future. And I know some of you talked to some of the planning commission members, so if anyone is interested, you're welcome to tell them what had happened today and what we had discussed. So one other thing too that we'd like to discuss on our agenda is UDC updates for March 2022. With the annexations and rezones coming in with potential water rights, there are a couple of things that the planning department would like to address concerning our Unified Development Code. Those mostly involve Title 18. And we'd like to do a couple updates to make the community's life easier and our life easier as well, and allow for more sustainable growth in the city. So with that, we would like to bring in a hearing examiner for the March Planning Commission and go over some code that we can potentially cover and fix. We wanted to do it this month, but there just wasn't enough time to get it set in. As some of you may already know, we've gone through a staff change, and we're trying to kind of rebuild our department. And with that rebuild, we're also trying to make it more community friendly, but at the same time, keep us not overwhelmingly busy. So it's this hassle we're trying to deal with. So expect those unified development codes next month, and possibly even in the coming months. That annexations and those UDC updates are going to be the main part of Planning Commission for a very long time. We will be busy is what I'm trying to say. We will be very busy. And with that, I think that is everything that I had to mention for our staff report. So does any of the members in here, do you guys, Carlos, do you still have a question?
Yes, I do.
Perfect.
I'd just like to have a little more update on what's happening there on Mossman Road. What's going on there? What is that?
Yeah, so that is actually, I'm pretty sure it's a project with Pat. Pat is our civil engineer for the city. He does our larger projects. London also works, I know, sometimes with Pat, because London does the larger projects. London, do you know more on Mossman, on what Pat may be doing?
I just know that they're kind of in the middle of the road widening project. As far as specifics,
Hey, Carlos, it's the west bypass that's going through a portion of the old golf course.
Right, they've bought up part of the golf course, and they're straightening up Mossman all the way through to Longmire.
Yep, and so it'll just be one long road down Longmire to alleviate some traffic congestion on downtown.
Good. All right. I was wondering if it was part of that Mossman extension.
Yeah.
Could we get an introduction to the other team members that are here?
I was actually just about to do that. I just wanted to thank Jens for helping me out there and helping us out on answering that one. So why don't we start with we can start with myself, I guess, and then we'll move to Miriam and then London. So I'm sure some of you may remember me. I am the assistant planner for the city of Yelm. I did not replace Casey. I was actually here with Casey. It's just I never got a proper introduction or got to speak much. So I'm here speaking now. I handle a lot of the current projects that are ongoing with our developers in the city. So stuff like subdivisions, commercial developments. Usually I'm the one dealing with them and handling them. So it's definitely an enjoyment. Obviously, like I had mentioned in our public services meeting as well, you know, our planning department is our first line of defense for our lovely city, and we usually take the brunt of that. So we're here to bring more of the joys of the planning to you guys than the brunt of the bad stuff. So I probably will be hosting a lot of these meetings mixed with Miriam, especially as things move forward. Currently, Miriam is being trained, but she definitely has the experience to back it up, back everything up. So I'm going to let her introduce herself. She's great. You guys will love her.
Thanks, Sarah. So my name is Miriam Winian. I recently joined City of Yale as of February 1st as an associate planner. I have a little bit about me. I have an engineering degree in urban engineering and a master's degree in urban planning. I have over 7 years of experience in planning. I worked for local governments in Minnesota, Arizona, and also in Washington. And I look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you, Miriam. And London?
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll sort of reintroduce myself. So yes, I am the planning and building manager for the city. Been here about 6 months, originally from Oregon. So I am a child of the Pacific Northwest originally, but have lived in several states. I've lived in Idaho, Utah, New Mexico, California, Virginia, Colorado, Iowa, and now Washington. So I think this is my 8th state that I've lived in. So I get around a lot, but hopefully I've found my forever place. Yeah, I'm loving it so far. Washington is amazing. I do not mind looking outside my window each day and seeing Mount Rainier. So it's super pretty. But yeah, we're just so excited to be here and be your planning team and help you guys do your jobs and support you in what you need to do as the planning commission. So yep.
Welcome again.
Thank you, Carlos.
And I would also, I don't know if Savannah would like to speak or not, but Savannah is here to take minutes for us. She is, last but not least, she's awesome as well. She will be in every single one of our planning commission meetings, just being here, taking those minutes and making sure we get everything recorded appropriately. So thank you, Savannah, for that. If you'd like to introduce yourself, feel free to.
Yeah, I'm in the conference room at City Hall. I'm not sure if you guys can hear me.
We can.
Yeah, okay. So I'm Savannah. I have been taking minutes for Planning Commission. I hadn't been a panelist before, just kind of fly on the wall. So I am taking minutes, and you'll see my name now that I'm a panelist. And yes, it's nice to meet you all.
Perfect. Thank you, Savannah. Really quick, I also forgot to mention where I'm from. Very proud of it. I'm from the Northeast, Pennsylvania, Ohio area. I don't know if you guys heard the yins. I get a lot of from that. But very nice to meet you. I'm happy to also be here in Yelm. It's awesome. We don't have mountains back in the Northeast. We have cornfields. So this is great. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves to us as well?
Who's first?
Yeah, go Carlos.
Oh, okay, I'm Carlos Perez. I've been in Yelm for 30 years. I served on the planning commission from 2005 till about, I don't remember whether it was 2007 or 8. And then through a series of little things, I didn't continue to serve. And then I started again a couple of years ago, and I've enjoyed working with you guys with the planning department. I enjoy working with planning. I also was a planner way back in the day, long time ago, although I don't have an engineering degree. My degree was in economics. So I did a lot of planning for the telephone company. And basically that's where I'm from. And I'm originally from Texas, but I've moved here and I've been here for 30 years.
That's awesome. Thank you, Carlos, and thank you for being here and giving
Welcome,
us your
Carlos.
expertise. Yeah. Welcome.
Hi, John. I know you from a long time ago.
Right.
Well, I'll go next. What the heck? John Graver. I've been on the planning commission, I think, since its inception. No, I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
You were in it when I came on, so
I
there you
know.
go.
I know it's over 20 years, but I don't know anymore. You know, Jesus. So anyway, Windermere's the company, real estate. Been doing real estate for now 47 years. Let's see, what else? Oh, born in California, moved and lived in New York, moved to Hawaii, college and lived there. And then of course, eventually moved here in 1985, in 85. My hobbies are, no. And the cigars, don't forget them cigars.
Yeah.
Sounds like a fun hobby.
It is, oh, I'll tell you, a little tequila and a cigar, beautiful.
Who would like to
Next.
go next?
Well, Floyd is still muted, so I guess I'll go. And I'm Ann Warmond, and boy, similar to Carlos, I'm from Texas originally. I've been in the Northwest for 45 years now, so it's been a long time since I've spent any time in Texas, and I'm glad to be up here. I've been in Yelm now since '92, so that's I can't figure out how many years it is, but it's been a long time. And been with the Planning Commission now. I think I saw that it was 2009, something like that, but it seems like it's been a long time. So with the city of Yelm, working with the Planning Commission, and I also work with Parks, with the Parks Board. And so I'm the one that keeps us connected up with what's going on with Parks. And since Pat, the civil engineer that you talked about, meets with us on the Parks Board each month, I get to tell the Planning Commission what's going on, because he really has his projects going on that are more than just the parks. So my background, I was a project manager for a Weyerhaeuser company for 30 or more years. I say project manager, I did a lot of different things, IT director, but the main thing is project management. So I'm very interested in what's going on with water rights, because there's a lot that we've been waiting for at least the entire time I've been on the Planning Commission, more than 10 years now that we've been waiting for those. So, with annexation and rezoning, I figure we need to have a plan. So whatever you do in terms of the forms and best practices, having a plan that's not just haphazard, I'd suggest looking at, what needs to be out there to make the city a city.
Agreed. Thank you, Anne. Thank you for that. It's amazing. You guys all have so much experience, so much to learn. Me to learn. You guys.
You get a lot of, when you have a lot of years, you get a lot of
I'll be
experience.
quick because my connectivities, because everyone's frozen. But anyway, hey, so I'm born and raised in Indiana, 31 years in the Army. I was here 85 to 90 in 2nd Ranger Battalion. Came back in 09, been here ever since. Retired from the Army in 2016. Became a realtor, and John convinced me to come on the Planning Commission about 3 years ago. My one pride on the Planning Commission is I'm probably 10 years younger than all the other members. But that's okay. And Ann, that wasn't aimed at you. That was aimed at John and Carlos more than anything.
Oh, no, I don't mind.
And Bob.
Don't worry.
And Bob, John, and yeah. And the
Yeah,
other
listen,
one. And Jared.
I'm 1 week in a few days into, now I've turned old. I did turn 70. So that's it, you know.
By the way, I have a bachelor's in criminal justice, a minor in applied mathematics, and a master's in business. Commanded 2 infantry battalions in the Army, so I understand management. I was responsible for a city block. Does that count? I had to keep the soldiers from tearing it up, but anyway, we all survived. So anyway, I'm
Perfect.
gonna
Well,
die young.
oh, well, that's not amazing, but it is at the same time. We're glad to have you here, but don't die anytime soon. Okay, so.
I'll be really old. So
Okay, perfect. Thank you guys for those amazing introductions, and I apologize to anyone that is not here today. But we'll get them next time in March because we definitely will have that meeting coming up. Is there any reports that anyone would like to mention to the committee?
Subcommittee reports. I can tell you about the dog park. We're moving forward with the design, detailed design of the dog park, and it's a combination of boy, I've got all the notes, but it's the folks that are doing the design of it. It's in combination with it's Tom Skillings in combination with the St. Martin's University students. And I think it's going to be just great. It's got a small dog portion and a large dog portion, and a little shed area, and washing stands, and lots of good parking with lighting and cameras, so we can keep it safe. And it's out there. I think it's 2 to 4 acres in that range. Depends on what you count in terms of the part that's used for the road, as well as all the parking. And it's by the water reclamation facility. So that's moving forward. The other thing that's going forward is there's a Thurston County Regional Trails Plan that's happening. And they're collecting all of the information about the various trails trail projects that we have. And one of the trails projects is we're expanding the Prairie Line Trail. And shortly, as soon as we have it's a cultural write-up to make sure that there's nothing that's going to be disturbed by pulling up all those rails. They'll start getting the rails up between the actual trestle over the Nisqually Bridge, of the Nisqually River, and go all the way back into town. And there's going to be new trail laid down from the Centralia Power Canal all the way out to the Nisqually River. Not across the trestle, but up to it. That's a separate project that we're going to have to fund separately to go across. I'm hoping that this Thurston County plan will help us get some funds for that. So those are the.
Is that kind of a joint Pierce Thurston deal that the
When you cross the river, it certainly is. Yes, it has to be done in conjunction with, Yelm owns the property under the rail. But the actual project needs to be done out of Pierce County
Right.
Parks. But it's on their list now, finally. It's on their list of projects. But it needs to have encouragement from Thurston County to get it done.
Great. I'd have something for, from the tree board, except the last tree meeting I couldn't make. And Chris Ficarro was on here a little while ago, and then he went. So I was hoping he'd be able to fill us in, because I know the discussion was having to do with Arbor Day. And so, but anyway, he's I'm sure busy, so.
Yeah, we can discuss Arbor Day a little bit more, probably even next month. I'm also on the tree board as well. I've just been extremely busy, so I could not attend last time. I do know one little thing about the tree board is that's changing for Arbor Day is we're allowing different creative expressions, so different creative freedoms. That way it doesn't only have to be paper. We're trying to allow for anyone that may potentially have disabilities to be able to do any type of artwork, even online, or any way to allow children to express themselves in any possible way that could be artistic for that contest. So I do know that, and I do know Chris knows a bit more. I would probably reach out to him. He's here Monday through Thursday, and he'd be happy to let you know on what he plans on doing with that. And I will also keep you updated as soon as I find out more.
Sure.
Perfect. Anything else? Alrighty. Would we like to have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Second,
Perfect. Alrighty, guys, we will
Wait,
see
all
you.
in favor, say aye.
Sorry.
That's okay.
aye.
Aye.
Mhm.
Okay, unanimous.
All right, perfect. It is 4:52, the 22nd of February, and we're adjourning the Planning Commission meeting. I will see everyone, or anyone who would like to attend, March 21st at 4 p.m. And we will have a agenda put out prior to that to let everyone know what we'll be discussing.
Nice meeting you all.
That's good.
Nice meeting everyone too. You guys have a great week.
I have a
Likewise.
quick question, Sarah. Could you send out, because there's sometimes late things that come up and we need to be able to let someone know whether we're going to be here or not, would you send out your contact information, since you'd be the one that we'd contact, I assume? To let
Yeah.
people know?
Absolutely. So I actually will be able to do it tomorrow in the morning. I start work at 6:30 a.m. So I can send that out in the morning and give you guys my contact info.
Okay, it's just to be able to, if something comes up and we can't be there, we'd like to have an excused absence, we can let somebody know. And so if you're the one, that'd be good.
Perfect. Alrighty. Well, if there's nothing else, everyone have a great week, a great month. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and we'll see you soon.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Sarah.
Thank you.
Bye.